Well, I'm picking up where I left off with some people that were giving in their grievances at Tynwald Hill, and Millie, you were one of them. You gave me at the time a very long answer, which I didn't have time to put it all out, and I thought I'd want to revisit it because your story is fascinating. Can first of all just give us an outline of the grievance, if you can, you got?
Well, I think everyone should have the choice on how they want to die. Dignity in Dying has been an organisation that's been going for a long time. I first joined when I was 37 years old and I lived in Newcastle because my brother and I had had a conversation at that time when we were just young, in our 30s. Our Brian said, "Mill, I'm not afraid of dying, it's how I die." And then funny enough, I was reading a woman's magazine a couple of weeks later and there was a big article about voluntary euthanasia. And if you wanted to join, the office was in Wales, and I joined at the age of 30, because even at that age, I felt, we should have a choice of how we want to go. So I took a petition to Tynwald 4 years ago. Nothing came of it.
Was it the same one you've done this time?
The same one I've done.
No one picked it up then?
No. Juan Watterson, was trying his best with it, but a lot of people at that time were very much against dignity in dying. I think attitudes are changing. I really feel attitudes are changing because they changed the name from voluntary euthanasia to dignity in dying, and a lot more people started to publicise it more, interview people, because we have all the technology now to put it out there and to find out really what people think about it, not the so-called people in government, asking normal people, how do you feel about it? And you'd be amazed, especially since it's gone on Facebook, how many people are in favour of it, how many people are saying it's my life, my body, my choice, So because they were doing so well across, and 4 years had passed and more and more people had become aware of it, I thought, right, maybe it's time to put it forward. But there was two reasons for that, because 2 years ago I was diagnosed with triple negative grade 3 breast cancer, and I had a lumpectomy, and at that time I really thought I was dying. I saw my solicitors, I gave things away, cleared cupboards, I really thought this was it, I was going to die.
By the way, they'd said that there was no hope at that stage, I think, wasn't it? So you were triple negative, whatever, and it was too late for chemo, wasn't it? So that was
the first time I had a lumpectomy. However, it grew back in exactly the same place, exactly the same size. I'd been taking alternative treatment. I'd managed to get some cannabis oil. Sorry, I know it's against the law, but when your life's on the line, you'll try anything. You're going to die anyway. So, and however, first time round, it didn't have any effect. It grew back in exactly the same spot, the same size. So the second time, they said, "Sorry, Millie, but this time you're going to have a mastectomy." And they'd done the mastectomy on June the 7th. Time was going on, it was September, my sisters were getting anxious, and I'd said to my husband, my back's up against the wall now, I have no choice, I have to take the chemo and radiation. And so I told them at the hospital, I said, this time I know I have to take it, and they said, yes, you will. So anyway, that was June the 7th, we're now into September, and my sisters are freaking out, have you not heard about your treatment? So I said, no. So I heard Mr. Nadeem was leaving, my surgeon. So I rang my cancer nurse at the hospital and I said, I hope Mr. Nadeem doesn't leave before he sorts out my treatment. Oh, she said, have you not been having treatment all this time? I said, no. She said, well, you should have been.
Well, they lost you, did they, or something?
So what had happened was they had lost the notes at Liverpool end. Somewhere in their system hadn't picked up on my notes.
And they thought you were having treatment, but you were having nothing?
No. Goodness. So it was September before I saw my oncologist, and he said, I'm very sorry, your notes got lost in the system, but I'm really sorry to have to tell you, it's too late to give you any treatment. And I said, too late? And he said, yes. He said, you've got triple negative grade 3. He says, and it usually only responds to chemo, and you should have had that chemo straight after the operation. You can imagine how I felt. I really thought that was it. However, that I then asked if I could see a second opinion. So an appointment was made. It's in Bartholomew's in London with a professor. So it was decided to give me a CT scan before I went, and that was on the Thursday, the 6th of November, and I saw the professor on the 10th of November, and he said, I'm very sorry to tell you, he says, but your report hasn't come through. Nothing to do with Nobles, it was their end, it hadn't gone through the system to get to his office.
You've been let down twice?
Twice,
And this is a life or death issue?
Yeah, you know, so you can imagine how I'm feeling. So my husband was freaking out. Anyway, we got back to Nobles, rang Nobles and said, explained what had happened, and I said, you know, I'm coming back and tomorrow I want the report of that CT scan. So that's what happened. We got back and we went to the hospital the next day, and we saw the new lady surgeon, and she came in all smiles, and she said, I've got some great... Oh no, I'd said to this professor, well, what happens now? And he said, well, if your CT scan comes back and it's clear, you're cured. I said, cured?
Cured is an interesting word. I always thought you were in remission or something.
They never ever used the word cured. It's always you're in remission. And he repeated it again. He said, if it comes back and it's clear, you're cured. And he said, because I told him I'd been doing the alternative treatment and all this stuff had been taken. And I said, and if not, he said, well, we are a hospital that is trying all new treatments, and, you know, we'll just have to see if we can find one that's, you know, is suitable for triple negative grade 3, which is a very aggressive form of cancer, and there's very few treatments. They said the only thing they ever found that had any effect on curing triple negative grade 3 was chemo, and of course it was too late for chemo.
So you felt you had a death sentence at that stage?
Well, that was it. I really thought I was going to die this time. So anyway, we go back and I go to Nobles, and the lady surgeon comes in all smiles, and she said, got the results of your CT scan here? She says, isn't it shown no sign of cancer?
And you're here today?
And I put that down to good surgery from Mr. Nadeem, positive thinking, and might I have to admit, I got wonderful treatment from Nobles. I can't knock them. They were all marvellous. But the alternative treatment, I've done so much research about cancer.
We're going to have part 2, and let's talk about that side of things, and the controversial side as well. So more with Millie in part 2.